Tonight on Business Live, the wait is over. The International Monetary Fund Executive Board finally approves Ghana's program request for a $3 billion bailout to stabilize the economy. We will bring you some analysis ahead. Also in this bulletin, commercial drivers in the Techima municipality continue to charge old fares as they express displeasure about the new directive on 10% reduction.
We think this particular move is set to deceive us again because fuel prices will soon be increased.
I am Pious straight to our very first story, which of course is a big story for tonight. And Joy Business has gathered that the International Monetary Fund has finally approved Ghana's program request seeking some $3 billion to stabilize the economy. Ghana got the approval after the board met this morning in Washington, D.C. to consider and approve Ghana's program. The IMF in the coming hours is expected to issue a press statement giving more details about the approval. And my colleague George Yafe, who has been on this beat for us, has joined us via Zoom to help us understand what is happening. Grateful, George, you could join me on Business Live. What more can you confirm to us?
Confirmed, if you can hear me loud and clear, is that yes, the board did approve Ghana's program. Interesting enough, this meeting was chaired by the managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Christelina Gogiva, to look at Ghana's program. The documents are still being worked out. Don't forget that we are now going to get the full program that Ghana sent to the IMF for it to be approved. We're also going to get the letter of intent that was signed by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, and the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, requesting for the program and also communicating to the fund what they are willing to undertake to turn around this economy. So in the coming hour, those documents have been finalized. We'll get the details also as in the first tranche of funds that we're going to get and how the disbursements are also going to be done. Some will say that conditionalities for Pious. Ghana presented this program to the IMF and they stated in the program what they are going to do to turn around the economy. So it was more of Ghana's own presentation to the fund that I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And based on that, the IMF said that I'm going to extend this amount of money to you, spread over 3 years. We're going to have the fund also, or the board also, approve what they call the first tranche of disbursement to Ghana, and the rest to be spread over the next 3 years. We'll have the IMF staff team come in here in June to do their review and then look at how far we've gone. They will also should be in town by November or December to also do some another assessment before we get the second tranche of disbursement, which could come in December or in January as well. So Pious, expect more details about the staff reports. Also, we'll get to know about our debt situation and how bad it has gotten to after the IMF staff do what they call their debt sustainability analysis. So expect more detailed program on Ghana's program, what government has committed to do over the next 3 years to turn around the economy. One of them that you are seeing right now is the utility tariffs. The argument was that government can no longer go on subsidizing or delaying, which government says, or the IMF thinks that it is building up the debt in the energy sector. So gradually find a way to ensure that they have realistic tariffs. So expect more details on the supposed conditions that's going to come with this program that has been approved.
All right, George, keep monitoring developments on that sector for us, and we shall come to you as and when we need more clarification. My colleague George Yafe reporting live for us there. Let's stay a while longer on this, and we've been joined via Zoom by Professor Lord Mensah to help us also understand what is happening. Professor Mensah, I'm grateful you could join me on Business Live. You've heard the news now. What do you make of this news, basically?
That is good news, for the country and then for our creditors as well, because if the country gets stable, obviously creditors can reap back, whatever they've invested in the country. It is good news for the citizenry, but then I can say that this is more or less like emergency tranche. Emergency tranche in the sense that, looking at the dire situation of our economic, outlook, and then, the dollar level. If the IMF does not soften its, conditions and then go strictly by what is expected of us, I can tell you that we may not get, the tranche. So I believe that with assurance that they got from, our creditor committee and then also the domestic restructuring that we have done, they have extended the first tranche to us. But then subsequent ones are going to be strict. Are going to be strict in the sense that by their review, the conditions that they will give us, we may have to meet them strictly. And so this first tranche is nothing but more or less an emergency tranche to keep our economy afloat before we start working hard, become self-disciplined, and then financially disciplined for us to tap into the subsequent tranches.
Fiscal discipline you mentioned, but some are thinking or wondering what will be some of the conditionalities we are likely to see.
We know very well that anytime we go to IMF, generally, they put up revenue enhanced measures. And one of them was, the one we proposed to have the staff level agreement. The staff level agreement, we proposed that we're going to introduce 3 revenue handles. And that is what we have done. But then the expenditure lines, obviously, I think they're going to restrict government from, spending on certain areas that, they think may not have necessarily a direct impact. So possibly we're looking at maybe finding a way to restructure the free SHS, which is going to reflect in the coming budget. And then also restructure some other capital expenditure areas. Projects that are ongoing, I believe, can go on, but new ones may not be, starting up. So these are some of the areas that I'm expecting, the conditions to touch on.
I'd want you to help us understand some of the areas you mentioned, including the projects and what have you. But there's been this concern that are we likely to see the first tranche hit our account, say, by the close of this week? Is that possible or feasible?
Yeah, by the close of this week, I may say it is a bit early because we are looking at, the IMF. They have not come out with any statement. I think the statement from their website, they're looking at around 10 o'clock tomorrow. So probably tomorrow is Thursday. The week has already ended. So probably let's look at somewhere from next week to the end of next week.
All right, thank you very much. We shall keep our eyes on that and, of course, update viewers in our subsequent bulletins. But the news is that the IMF has agreed or approved Ghana's $3 billion request, and we shall, of course, keep you updated in our subsequent bulletins. Let's shift focus now and touch on this story. Straight to the Bono East, where commercial drivers in the Techiman municipality continue to charge old fares in spite of a directive by 2 transport entities to drivers to reduce fares. According to some of these drivers who spoke to Joy News, the 10% fuel reduction is negligible and the prices of spare parts still remain high, hence the need or the decision to maintain the old fares. My colleague Anas Sabit was at the Techiman main lorry station and has filed this report.
Following a consistent marginal reduction in fuel prices at the pumps, users of public transport are expecting a reduction in transport fares effective today per a directive from leaders of transport companies. This morning we are here at the Techiman main lorry station to gauge the situation to find out whether this particular directive that was issued a couple of days ago is taking effect or not. We've been engaging some of these drivers, and what they are telling us is that until the prices of spare parts and other mechanic services is reduced, they are not reducing the fares. According to them, reducing the fares today would mean they will be put out of business as prices of various services they enjoy is still high across the market. We've been speaking with some of them and listen to what they've been telling us.
As I say, high amount.
We are not going to work with what the government is saying because the government received us the last time we reduced our fares by increasing fuel prices. So we think this particular move is set to deceive us again because fuel prices will soon be increased.
Nema lorry parent so no enya adwuma ne se enya fu wan kwa na edi adwuma na spare pass bia akosoro not total oil, not total 80 series.
We are not reducing our fares because aside fuel, we rely on other services to operate. Spare parts are very expensive on the market, so if you tell us to reduce our fares because of the marginal reduction in fuel prices, then they'll have to go and rethink about it.
5,000. It took us say, Yatifu in the food and Yatis in the years until all of us. And then pay water, among Commons and Quadron. Maybe I'm a cotton time, I'm a tyranid. Maybe I'm a cotton.
If the government truly want to help all of us, it should make sure whilst we reduce our fares, other service providers will also do same.
Akufuado na desa nanado on this time ran by mama ntu nanado say ye ne nya
Tell President Akufuado that we disagree with this directive because we spend so much when we go to the magazine.
On the weeks one the oja na oje ntu kakra benya beto bibi no nan nyina kudimazi
And the matter is in the full inji 50 million. If the matter is time, yeah, 80 cities and 200 cities.
What we spend on spare parts is too much. Assuming we buy a gallon of fuel at 1 Ghana cedis, would the car be able to move without tires and engine?
Some of them say their leaders did not consider their plight before coming up with this particular decision. They say this directive would not be good for them as drivers or transporters. So they want their leadership to go back and reconsider their plight before coming up with such a directive.
They pay for one boy amane. Say you na kakuo no, say komunye nya badwenu before ansa. They no go mutim free achi. Ekoya agreement e de ba beto wo say ni say ni so abla ye ni mu ho hwe.
Our leaders should have consulted us before taking this decision. We will not reduce our fares because we suspect the leaders might have been induced by government, hence the haste in taking such a decision.
So at large, these are the comments being, issued by drivers, transport drivers here at the Techima Main Level Station. They are not reducing their fares, and commuters, on the other hand, have expressed worry at the situation. They want leadership or government to listen to the plight of these drivers and then act to suit them and the commuters as well.
The drivers are raising genuine concerns because prices of spare parts are still high, and that is why we can't say much. I'm expecting government to listen to their plight.
So this has been the situation from the Techima Main Lorry Station, and reporting for Joy News here in Techima, my name is Anna Sabit.